I'm looking at this panel more in terms of summarizing the entire day, actually, because we had our honorable chief guest, Shri Gautamji, talk about so many policies that the Telangana government is right now looking at, which is only going to encourage the whole landscape, the real estate landscape in Hyderabad, followed by the two Power Pack panel discussions that we've had. Our partners who with their presentations have only showed us how forward-moving technology is and what is in store for this market. And I think the Telangana government on that note is making some bold moves with the future city, which we all are now looking at something that is being planned as India's first net zero city. And this only raises the alarm for us that how important innovation and sustainability is becoming now. Speaking about the Hyderabad skyline, we've seen the entire day that how Hyderabad is now growing vertically from gated communities to mixed-use developments. I think Hyderabad is growing differently now. It's being a city that is being eyed by the entire ecosystem. And this again only highlights the increasing need for sustainable practices, technology, and the mindset to deliver the right kind of developments at the right time. And of course, why are we talking about net zero today? Because net zero is not only about achieving climate goals. I think net zero is about looking at how technology is going to benefit and not destruct in any way. It is about looking at how we are going to meet ESG goals, and it is looking at how we are going to bring the entire real estate ecosystem to only build something that is more future forward, more future looking. So having said that, I think our panel discussion will be divided in three parts today. We will begin with first looking at the current present scenario that we are in and how are the plannings at the moment. We will move on to elaborating a bit more on the technology side of it, and we will conclude with seeing what the future has in store for us. With that, I will go straight to Samita with my first question. That, of course, I did mention the future city plan that the Telangana government has, and of course, we are seeing the impact of it in Hyderabad. What is that one thing you think we need to fix in terms of, how we plan our towers today, especially considering that this would help high-rises align better with the net zero goals?
Very good evening to all. And it's a very relevant question, actually. In fact, Hyderabad is probably the only city which has the maximum number of high-rises coming up. And with the future city being planned as a net zero, I think a critical component is how high should the high be, actually. So what is our land use intensity? What is our carbon emission intensity? Can we arrive at an optimal balance between the two? So that is a metrics that we have to look at, because it will be different for different regions. Like a greenfield development would be different, whereas for a highly urbanized center, it would be different. But that is something that I think your building rules or your development control rules should factor into. And because the rules eventually reflect how the urban infrastructure evolves, also reflect how the carbon emissions are curtailed in the built environment. So that would be a critical component. And above all, also, I think looking at towers in isolation would be probably a wrong approach. I think it's an entire ecosystem, especially when we're talking of such large-scale developments. Are we looking at district cooling systems? Are we looking at wastewater systems that cater to the entire region, not just the tower? I think the approach should be more not just plot level optimization, but more as a district level thinking approach. So I think these are some critical parameters which is food for thought for the policy makers.
Thank you for that. We've also seen that when, especially in metros, when the city is growing faster, when there is a lot of development coming in, spaces also get dense. And with that, I will move on to architect Matan, who I think he brings in a lot of experience in designing dense spaces. So Matan, if you can tell us a little more that how do you integrate smart solutions like EV infrastructure or even water reuse without compromising on the design intent?
Building on what Samita said, infrastructure is absolutely mandatory in terms of thinking when you are thinking about density. That you cannot imagine buildings in isolation. You cannot imagine that net zero is a possibility at a building level at all. It is only possible if at a collective scale it is done. It's been done in places like Dubai, Singapore, where top-down approach to net zero is much more effective than a bottom-up approach to it. In terms of water, for instance, it's impossible that even for villa communities, we are not able to, with that level of density, say 1.2 FSI, we are not able to cater to the water demands of the villa community within the villa's plot. No matter you get 200 rainfall, even the ridiculous ones that's happening today, even that is not able to sustain. So how is it possible in a tower? So in most of the projects that we are doing, we are trying to store water as much as possible. So under the basements, under the fire driveways, let's say 50 lakh liters, 25 lakh liters, we are asking developers to store water so that natural direct storage of rainwater is possible. EV and all these other things, they are not independent layers on top after the design is done. Right? Nowadays, IGBC requires a certain amount of parking to be electrically connected to. So can the city infrastructure, along with like how we are giving 10% OSR, is there a clear requirement that you can cater to 10 communities together as a central fuel station? This is possible if we are thinking about it as a city level. Again, we'll be just drops in the ocean if you are thinking at a building level. Yeah.
I think that is very relevant, and I think that's where the whole concept of planned infrastructure also comes in, when we don't just think from a single structure level. From there, I would move on to our mobility expert that we have with us, Jagdish ji. We know that mobility planning can often be very reactive. Can you give us one example, just taking from what Matan was also saying, that where early integration of smart parking or EV bays have helped a building perform better?
In fact, our earlier panel discussion has set tone right, for these kind of questions. Though as vertical transportation consultant, I'm involved with elevators, but I'm exposed to a lot of design review meetings where, I hear a lot of discussions happening on smart parking and EV bay integrations and things like that. Especially our earlier panelists, what projects they're doing. We are involved with Brigade Neopolis in Hyderabad, Satwa Knowledge City, Knowledge Park, Image Towers recently, DSP Design also, quite a few projects which we are doing, where they have properly, I feel, integrated in terms of, how smartly we can do the parking, how important it is to have EV bays created more and more. And there are few factors which I noticed that, which are quite important to do this. One is when you, at the earlier stage, at the concept stage, when you integrate these things, smarter parking systems or EV bay, this thing and all. What happens is space optimization is good, where, the space can be efficiently planned. Then it also helps in structural design. Structural design, they don't have to redo work later if the proper parking or the proper elevator systems, vertical mobility, or the regular thing is done. And the traffic flow patterns, like, ingress, egress into the building, that is also addressed properly. It will also help the sustainability goals, like, achieving your IGBC lead or Griha ratings and things like that. And most importantly, user experience, because they will have a real-time data on how the parkings are, where they need to do, where the EV bays are there and things like that. And all this, I'm sure it will help in containing the costs and ensuring that, the cost overrun does not happen. And finally, aesthetically also, once the design is perfected, and it will also give a very clean building design.
I think when we talk about cost and also, as you mentioned, the green rating systems and so much more, I think another important aspect is also the ecological design over here, which brings me straight to, I think we have an architect with us who is experienced in that space as well. So architect Narasimhanji, coming to you, that you have worked across landscapes and buildings. How can ecological planning like passive cooling or green buffers be better integrated into tower design from the start?
I'm basically an architect and gold medalist, and then I'm more on landscape architecture work in the last 35 years. So when I read about net zero. Net zero is a thing which people say it's impossible to make it zero. Well, every country has promised that by 2070, even India has promised that net zero will be achieved. I don't think, and many a times I wonder whether these cities are true things or lies. So they are partially lies. So in this live world we all live in, and how the cities have taken shape, if we look at with the ecological aspects and looking at natural resources, how cities are growing, and now today we have so much environmental degradation. We have biodiversity loss, we have ecosystems collapsing, we have climate change, global warming. All this is happening because mindlessly the human being is developing the cities, has been. So now time has come. It is an alarm that unless we think of net zero and various rating systems, if we don't follow in the buildings, high-rise towers, and in relation with the city horizontal sprawl. So everywhere we need to look at now with the resources very carefully, and we need to, for example, whether you design a tower or a housing layout like you have done. So where we need to look at how the design is kind of passive design, with the thinking about various options of designs in relation to the climate of a particular city or a place. So then we look at the sustainable practices that can be implemented, whether in terms of material and all that, and then looking at various other things like solar impact on the layouts and buildings, and even wind and various other factors. So this is something which is an architectural process which one has to, carbon reduction is the main aim. The carbon emission is today 37% of the total emissions that are taking place in the world from buildings. Similarly, transport and traffic and transportation is amounting to 22%. So 37% is a huge thing which we need to bring it down. So by 2030, with some measures, things can be brought into control. So when we look at the various things, now we have got a lot of simulations, studies that can be done on the materials that can be used, and solar fenestrations, the skin of the building, and wind effect, and various things. These are all things. Apart from that, I think also important is the daylight factor, which also is to be considered. So taking into account all these aspects, like Panchabhutas, the water, how do we reuse, all the water, and net zero is what? If you can take the water from your own site, use it, and treat it and reuse again. So we hear Singapore, retreats and uses 80% of the water for drinking water purpose. But what are we doing in Hyderabad? We are not doing anything. So the whole water is going down the drain into the sea eventually. So we are not impounding that water and treating and bringing it back. Similarly, we have vegetation, which we need to, we are talking about rooftop gardens. That's become a big spin now. All the big, this real estate companies, builders, coming up with, roof garden war. you know. So I happened to design one roof garden about, got inaugurated in 2014 in Kukatpalli, 25 floors above, Manjira Trinity Homes. It has a Manjira Corporate and Manjira Mall adjacent to them, 3 buildings. So on 25th floor, we happened to design Sky Park, Sky Garden, and Sky Pool. So, today you can see the hoardings, a lot of sky gardens and by various big towers that are coming up in the only so-called southwest zone area of the city. It's all happening because of, what is so special of southwest of Hyderabad? Why northeast is not happening? Why southeast is not happening? It's because of the zero FSI, no FSI, around this our ORR, to a certain distance, and these are all, I feel, I'm not happy with them, with 45 floors, 60 floors, nonsense. There is no study of what the building, sorry, I'm taking a little time. So so there is no proper analysis of those buildings in terms of, net zero, towards the calculations or all that. So it's because of no FSI there. Well, we are talking now, other panels were talking about FSI 7, 10. It's a zero there. I mean, you can build a 100-story tower, and these are all spinning of various scams, and big people are just anyway, that is left to them. That is I'm not bothered. So coming to the city, I feel all these have to adhere to these norms and practices so that we work towards closer to net zero.
Yes.
Thank
yes.
you.
You've not only taken us through the current scenario, but I think you started from the drawing board and went to the sky roof. So, yes, I think you've given us a good overview, right from the energy simulation analysis to
One small
indoor air
example.
quality to energy
One
efficiency.
small example I forgot. I'll just add. I'm sure all of you have seen Shilpa Ramam in Hyderabad, Crafts Village, which we did in '95. We got national award for that. And even today, I ask people to rate it, if they can rate it, that project. So, I mean, where I always say, when it is, we talked about 3 things, biodiversity loss, climate change, and, collapse of ecosystems. It is fundamentally the human mind which has to change. The human mind has to reduce the greed. It has to be sympathetic. It has to be less optimal selfishness. These are the 3 things which all of us have to practice, and makes the whole society, people, everybody realize that, there is a limit to anything. So then all these 3 will get reinstated.
Yes,
The
yes,
birds
I
will be
can
back,
totally agree
the
with
heat
you
will
there.
go off, and
Yes.
the rains will be normal. Everything has to come to normal.
I think
Thank you.
minimalism has been the key for the longest time in design, and it is relevant in net zero. But having said that, I think even technology comes in beautifully in the current times, which takes me to the manufacturer sharing the stage with us right now, Mr. Jay Pradeep. At what stage should mobility planning begin? Of course, today there's a lot spoken about the towers and the skyscrapers of Hyderabad. We're talking about unlimited FSI and everything. But tell us from your experience on the manufacturing end, that at what stage should mobility planning begin in the design process, and what are the key considerations that architects and structural engineers often tend to overlook when aiming for efficiency and sustainability?
The mobility planning should begin at the design stage itself, because after the post-structural design, the efficiency of the space and the energy efficiency, they miss out. So in Kone, we call it as early entry. So in the early entry, what happens, our team gets involved in the designing with the architects and vertical elevator consultants. And they design the shafts, and they work out the people flow in the buildings. That's very, very critical. And we got digital tools also, which measure the live stimulation is there for the people flow management in the buildings. So with that, we can design the passengers, number of passengers, number of elevator, the speed of the elevator. So this is one of the important aspect which we need to really work on, and it's important factor. As far as the factors which are overlooked, I don't think so. Maybe earlier it was. Now there's a good collaboration between the VT consultants and architects. They are working together, and they are working on the highest efficiency. And I feel that's the need of the hour. And we have got a lot of planner guides, digital planner guides, and also the what I can say, the traffic management tools, which we discuss with the architects and vertical consultants, and we work on that. Good collaboration. And in fact, I echo what Mr. Jagdish has said just now. So the earlier, integration of the, discussions with all the stakeholders for designing a building is very, very important. An elevator part's a important component of the building.
Thank you. And I think the beauty of all this is that how today in elevator design, and while we have elevators operating, we can also capture data very beautifully and ensure that it's being utilized in the right direction, especially when we talk about energy efficiency. Samita, I'll come back to you again since we are talking about lifts and data. Lift analytics and building data are increasingly used to drive energy efficiency. How can this help data? How can data help improve energy use and support green certifications as well as ESG alignment? Because today we are seeing ESG is again becoming very critical at the business end for builders.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, when you're looking at energy intensive components of a building, it starts with air conditioning, then you have your lifts, your electrical components, your lighting, and other components as well. But I think the end of it, data is everything. How we are able to track and capture, understand patterns, the occupancy patterns, the usage patterns, all of this, if they are captured, they can optimize our performance in terms of how we operate the building. It could be in terms of setting the temperature. The set point temperature could be adjusted based on occupancy and thereby saving energy. So there's a lot that can be fine-tuned. And being in this certification space for the last 20 years, I have, as much as we talk, there could be BMS systems, there could be monitoring mechanisms, but trying to source the critical data, the data that we need, has been the toughest task, even amongst big projects. Only very few organizations are able to track and maintain this data, and this is essentially a people problem rather than a system problem, because you have the highest BMS, you have energy meters. Today we have even water meters being installed everywhere. But if I want the data just pulled out, it's not something as simple as just giving me the data. And most often we are talking about energy, water, which can be easily tracked. But I think the most important part, which we are most often leaving it out because there's a lot of manual component to it, is waste. We're not able to track our waste. We don't have BMS, we don't have meters for that. So how does that come in as a third layer of monitoring and data tracking? So I think these are certain components that the facility management staff and the operation team, how we can utilize this data to enhance our performance, is something that we really have to delve deep and find ways and means and set policies for the same.
Jagdish ji, I would like you to add on this front as well. Especially, we do see that smart mobility systems generate a lot of data. So how can that be used to optimize energy use and support sustainability benchmarks?
Yeah, as Samita was saying, it is very difficult to capture the data. But in the era of AI and IoT, probably right now we are in the right space and time at the right time to ensure that that data is captured well, and whatever data is captured is used very well enough to reduce the energy unnecessary usage of energy is one thing. Optimize based on the real-time experiences or the real-time occupancy data, optimize energies. Then, coming to EV, this thing and all, it can be used to balancing the EV charging loads and all that data can be interpreted upon. And it's all the more, most of it all, it's very important to encourage people to practice energy efficiency. Yeah, and be it anything, in using the IoT effectively, building management systems, and whatever it is very important to encourage people and make them inclusive in the whole process so that, the mobility in the building will be more energy efficient.
Since we are talking about energy efficiency and of course tech, I'll come to Matan also because I think I need some open insights from you over here. That since you have worked on net zero communities, and we already did talk about the EV infrastructure and the smart facades. So when you look at new technology, what helps you decide as an architect, even if it is worth using it in that particular project?
There used to be a famous architect, British architect called Cedric Price. I keep bringing this up several times. He said, technology is the answer, but what is the question? This was said in 1960s, right? So, and it's still relevant today. We have all of these things, but probably we don't know what is the fundamental question and whether that technology is even needed to solve it, because it can still solve it, but at an efficiency margin of maybe 5% more. Then the question is, do we need to do it? Then it's just a pressure of trying to implement technology, but then actually finding a real reason for it. In communities that we do, having said this, it's lot of communities are built by developers who are passing it on to somebody else. So we find implementation of technology higher in projects where they are the end users, right? Like let's say I'm building my own headquarters. I would be interested in putting a technology that, because I know that overall maintenance, I'm going to have data for it to change whatever I'm doing and update whatever I'm doing. But if I'm handing it over and tomorrow the end user has problems with the technology, then it escalates up the chain and then goes back to as a problem to the developer. So they're afraid because the technology itself is changing so fast, right? So you put something, let's say smart metering, and after 3 years, whatever RFID systems you use are all obsolete now. And the company itself doesn't make software that updates it. So what kind of technology, so the life cycle thinking of technology is actually not mature enough for us as designers of communities or as builders of communities to kind of without too much thinking implement. It's just making us want to do so many risk assessment decisions. Second is in EV, we are not sure how to store or how to put it back in the grid. All kinds of technologies exist, right? We know how to store with lithium ion cells which doesn't have to be the old batteries. All that technology has changed, but we don't know what is, after 3 years' time, will it still be relevant or not? So what is it that if technology-driven systems have to be used, they should be at least promising a lifetime of 20 years. Then buildings will be more interested in using. Otherwise, they're all small things which probably use still legacy systems.
I would like Jay Pradeep to actually take up from here that, elevators account for a measurable share of a tower's operational energy load. So what new technologies or system designs can help reduce that impact and contribute to the net zero goals?
The Kone elevators, which are today, they're almost around 70 to 80% energy efficient as compared to the elevators which we are installed around 15 years back, 20 years back. So the technology has evolved throughout these years, and there was new innovation happened, new product has been launched, which is beneficial to the customers and to the end users with all high energy efficiency technology. For example, Kone has innovated monospace in 1996, which is a machine room-less, gearless technology, which has revolutionized the entire industry. So such technologies help the people, help the industry, for as far as the accessibility is concerned, the ease of, what I can say, the reliability of the elevators to the customers. After that, the regen drive has come. In fact, the unused energy has been now fed to the main system of the building. So this is also helped as far as energy efficiency is concerned. Then we had the IoT system, the predictive maintenance, the 24/7 connected systems, which are all now the latest technological advancement which are happening in the elevator industry. Recently is the ultra rope, Kone ultra rope, which is less weight, having a less weight than the normal steel ropes, which we are going to now install in Jeddah Towers, which is going to be the largest or the tallest tower in the world, more than 1 kilometer. So such advancement in the technology are a continuous process which are happening across the elevator industry, and it will continue to happen. So in the days to come, maybe you will see some more advancement in the technology, and we will be discussing some other topic next time.
Absolutely. I think the technologies that and techniques that you've touched upon, even when we just sit in the city of Hyderabad today, we see so much scope of usage in this city. And this is just one city in the entire national landscape. But the beauty of the real estate industry in India is that while often, including today, we've spoken so much about new development, technology, net zero, what's coming up, what is in store. But the beauty of the Indian market is that there is a lot to conserve and preserve as well. I will come to Narasimhan ji here because he brings in a lot of experience in redesigning historic spaces with modern needs. So, sir, what architectural interventions can help retrofit older towers for better energy performance without major structural changes?
Till recently, the cities have developed naturally the way things were going, but today it is all science driven designs. So everything has to be thought of scientifically now. Well, we studied a book called Design with Nature by Ian McHarg, who was a professor in Philadelphia, who was considered father of landscape architecture in the world. So, the book very well taught us that, designing with nature. And so, there, if you take a region of city, for example, Hyderabad has gone wrong because southwest, northwest is the highest land elevation, and southeast is the lowest, where the Musi river flows towards Vijayawada. It flows to Suryapet and then joins into the river Krishna. So the whole city topography, if you look at the ecological point of view, Ian McHarg taught us that when we look at such large hinterlands or for cities and all that, we need to study fundamentally how the hydrological cycle is, how the rainfall has been happening and where the water is flowing into the various lakes. All were interconnected. Today the interconnections were all occupied, and because of which we are having flash floods and rivers water collection. So that is one aspect, surface hydrology. Then we have vegetation, we have energy, sunlight. So all these aspects on a given land, we are taught how to scientifically bring out a master plan for a large region. For example, how are the slopes? There could be steep slopes at places, there could be gentle slopes. So when we do the slope analysis from 0% to say 35% slope, so where the steep slopes are, it means that its soil content is very rich and it needs to be preserved, and that's where the forests can happen, that's where the valleys happen. So the ridges are not the right places again to construct, because so somewhere flat plateaus have to be identified, and the development has to come. Now, what happened to Hyderabad was industries were placed right on the top, and the whole of industrial effluence has polluted all the lakes and finally polluted the Musi River Lake also. Beyond repairable condition, many of us are not aware There are studies done by experts. The whole river bed of Mosi till Krishna is 1 meter polluted. And you can imagine on that the water what is flowing and what vegetables are grown on the outskirts and various that 150-kilometer path. So 120, 150 kilometers from where the vegetables are coming and milk is coming, the buffaloes, everything, are living on that polluted water, grasses. So these are all ecological aspects which we need to understand. And even river Godavari water is being brought, and Krishna river is water is being brought to the city. And as I said, without treating properly, now there are 5-6 treatment STPs. Earlier it used to be only one out of total quantity. 1/10 quantity was treated. Now I think 50% treatment it has reached. I think Hyderabad. The rest 50% still goes untreated. So these are the problems ecologically if I look at. So science-driven design, teaches us these things. Today our chief minister is talking about digital new city. The whole terrain of that has to be analyzed ecologically, carefully, and then designed. Not just some planner or some engineer or some architect just using set squares and T squares and just those days have gone. Now all CAD driven and all that. So still they just do as they like. Straight road, the crossroad, gridiron pattern is standard, but why not something very romantic landscapes of a new fourth city which can be blended and old. You said like old city, talking about river Mosi river. The big companies are coming and showing us pictures which I worked in the Middle East. And I know, all shallow waters near Dubai and, all those creeks everywhere. So I happen to design in Bahrain, promenade, what we call Corniche. A Corniche I have designed and, we have taken care of the high tide, low tide, sea waters and all that. So the point is in Mosi River, they are showing us, crescent shape development, high rise. What is the Mosi River width? Nothing. And what is the depth of that water? Nothing. I don't know. How much? 41,000? 30,000? No, 40,000. No, cost, crores. 4,100 crores. I happened to work on Mosi River project from 2002 to 2003. And, that book which architect Bimal Patel, we worked as a team for Chandrababu Naidu. We came up with 500 crores budget for the Mosi River development of 20 acres, 20 kilometers, which is passing through the city. Now, it's change of government in 2005. So, the same book went to Ahmedabad and Sabarmati River changed and shown to Modi. Modi said, how much you want? 500, 1,000. 1,000, you take 1,000, but I want in 3 years. And he got it done. So in 3 years, Sabarmati River front is ready. So today, 4,100 crore. What for, I don't know. To distribute, probably. So 1,000 crores is more than enough. We have done 500 crores analysis and, BOQ. And 1,000 crores today, that was 2004. So 20 years later, okay, 1,000 crores or 1,500. I mean, I don't know where this mathematics is coming from. And big Meinhardt, Jainhardt, this company, that company, big fellows' names are being taken. Who? SOM, huh? Not SOM. Meinhardt and SOM also? And Zaha. So these are
So you
names being
definitely
taken.
have a lot of interesting.
So Mosi River has to be developed.
Of course,
The point,
yes.
but the floodplains have to be preserved.
Preserved.
That's where the micronutrients, microorganisms thrive, and it gives the city a microclimate to macroclimate benefits of cooling and biodiversity richness and all those things. The people have to think on those lines. Then towers. I don't know what towers we're talking about. Anyway, thank you very much.
I think it's. I think that is very well said, but somewhere I think it's the growing population and the opportunities in these cities that are driving towers. But while architect Narasimham has given us a great insight on the building side of it, I would like to also touch upon the mobility side, where I'll come to you, Jagdish ji, that retrofitting older towers is a growing need. What mobility upgrades like smart parking or EV-ready systems offer the best ROI for developers? Especially again, as we touched upon the ESG compliance earlier, I think that becomes important. So if you can just elaborate a bit on this.
So, retrofitting a old building is a big challenge, as we all know. So, doing a new building, designing a new building is as much easy to integrate all these latest technologies and all. But having said that, first thing is when you retrofit a old building, it has to, the building systems, whatever are existing, have to be upgraded to interface with the latest technologies. That is stage one. Stage two, probably you can look at interfacing with various ESG compliant norms like, IoT, then you can have your building management systems, then lot of host of other things where the mobility can improve a lot by ensuring that the old buildings are upgraded to be interfaced and all the smart devices can be interfaced then and make the building more smarter than it was before.
So retrofitting is one aspect, but Matan, I'll come to you also that mixed-use towers are also becoming the norm now. And how do you design for flexibility?
Mixed-use towers is the golden baby of this era, right? I think everybody is now looking at how to make sure that it's not about long mobility, but close to your home mobility. I think that's catching traction. And landscape design, how do you really slow down your life so that you spend time enjoying going from your home to work, right? And mixed-use communities are becoming very critical to this. In terms of why it is not possible in LA, I think the previous panel touched upon this, right? Hyderabad does not have this, right? Yeah, there is no developer who has taken this challenge and created like how Mumbai or Delhi has done that. Probably because there is more money to make when you do only residential, like mono program is actually more profitable than creating mixed use because there is no FSI limitation, right? So then the question comes only through policy, can you implement this, right? And the power of mixed use is actually at the human level. It is not at what a skyscraper can do, but what at the street level happens, right? You have restaurants opening into the street. Tell me one development in Hyderabad where somebody is saying in their billboard, I'm contributing like this to the city. They say, I'm contributing to this to the skyline, but to the street, to the city, they're all completely closed out, right? Then mixed use doesn't happen at all because you've just cordoned yourself on to your own plot. It's like everybody going into your bedroom and locking the door. There's nobody in the living room. There is nobody in the dining room. The life cannot happen. You'll just be focused on one thing you're doing. So when you focus on mixed use, automatically it means you have a live city. And to that extent, we all have to promote it. I think flexibility is natural to architectural design. Like when you think longevity, you always think about how grids can be adaptive, especially in commercial. Maybe residential is a lot more locked in, but commercial is always designed with reusability in mind. Like any architect would do it. There's no special tool or special method to do it.
Since we're talking about retrofitting you, Pradeep, I would want you also to add something that what opportunities exist to modernize and retrofit older elevator systems in existing towers to align with sustainability benchmarks and ESG reporting requirements?
Huge opportunities across the country. In fact, if we'll have a panel discussion next time, it will be only retrofitting only. So that's the opportunity we are going to have it. So Kone is developing a lot of products, lot of technologies in terms of replacing the existing machines, controllers, the lighting systems, and also the connected services which are IoT based. So this is evolving. As the opportunities are coming, we are evolving along with the technology and even the shafts which are available. We are trying to fit in the larger capacity passengers so that the people flow is better. For example, I'll just give the retrofitting what we have done in DLF Tower, Cyber Greens, which is a total office building. After retrofitting, the people flow has tremendously improved. It has become more easier, the waiting period has reduced, the accessibility has increased. So the technology has really helped as far as elevators are concerned in the retrofitting. And I feel this will definitely help in the energy savings in future.
Samita, also very quickly, from the Indian Green Building Council to the ESG, any tips on how consultants can help developers meet their ESG goals while also keeping projects viable for the investors?
Of course, because certifications are giving us benchmarks. While people have mixed opinions on certifications, they they set benchmarks, evaluate our performance against a global baseline. So automatically your investor confidence increases. So today we have carbon offset mechanisms, you have IFC driving certification programs on resilience, on green, on a lot of parameters in the sustainability space, which again become basic platform into your ESG certifications also. It could be GRI or it could be any other ESG related certification. So I think the starting point is how you manage your building, your data, your efficiency levels, how you capture the data, how you track it, monitor it, and then use it for getting your certification and your and we as consultants can help them plan their path to showcase to the investors, help them bridge the gap between what they do and inviting the investors. I think that's the role that we should be assuming rather than just looking at certifications at a smaller space, but more as a bird's eye view of the whole thing.
Perfect. That brings me to my concluding question on this panel. When Mr. Narasimham was talking to us right at the beginning, he mentioned 2030. So let me go by the year 2030 now. And this is a common question for the entire panel. If we envision Hyderabad's first net zero tower by say 2030, what innovations in mobility or materials or systems, whichever you like to pick, do you think will define that structure, and how close are we to achieving that vision? I would like to start from that end and then we come this side. Sir, I'm sure you'll have very good inputs to help me conclude the panel. So yes, we'll start with you.
To start with, Pune factory at Chennai is a net neutral carbon. And all the procurement, manufacturing and logistics, we are working on reducing the scope 3 emissions. So that's the main target which we are having, and we are working continuously on that. Second important thing, the net zero tower should be digitally connected, very, very important. And it should be powered by the regenerative energy, and that should be renewable. And it should be connected. All the mobility systems should be connected, predictive, and easily accessible to the people who are using it. So this is what I believe the net zero tower should be.
So when you're talking of future city in 2030, what we need to look at is to ensure that massive renewable energy generation capabilities, and once the energy is generated, you need to have strong storage systems in place. How do we do that? That's an important thing to be thought of. And the grids also, when the renewable energy or regenerative things in future city flows, the grids also should be flexible to take that energy. So I think these are very important. And as a saying goes, empty vessels make more noise. We are talking of lot of things to happen. India talks of net zero, building net zero, so many things on net zero. But silently, I have seen a lot of cities across the globe going net positive. Like a small city in Iceland, Reykjavik, capital of Iceland, using geothermal energy, 95% is going towards net positive. Stockholm in Sweden, and closer to India, Bhutan, hydro energy. They maximize that and ensure that they are not even talking much about it, but they are moving from net zero to net positive.
I think net zero is basically a 3-pronged approach. I think starting with the design, I think how close is our design to thermal comfort conditions? How efficient is our design to reduce energy just by design, by passive systems or by design? And secondly, you're looking at systems, you're looking at technology, you're looking at efficient equipment, all of that. And finally, we're looking to bridge it with renewable sources. So unless we do it step by step, it's going to be hard to reach that goal.
As an architect, I have a slightly different take on it. Technology, anyways, there's a lot of people who are working on it, right? Our job is to ensure that there is no net zero connection between humans, right? Eventually, all these connections is separating us. Can we create a building that is socially linked, right? Like, if you live in a 50th floor building, you are away from greenery, you are away from humans, you're coming into a corridor. There's no difference between somebody in the 10th floor and the 30th floor except a Kone elevator button, right? So there is absolutely, you come out of the lobby, you see the same corridor, you see the same door, you don't even know if you're drunk, whether you'll go to your own house, right? So how do you link these people together I would imagine a tower where people enjoy living in that tower. They dream about coming home.
So as an
That would be
architect, tell me, is that possible? Can we?
If they think it's possible, I would also think. No, we are doing a project called Together Men's. It's the opposite of apartments, right? So it's trying to bring people together, that you don't have a clubhouse that is away from some other, you come out of your building, go to your clubhouse, take another. No, you come out from your corridor, you're in a social space that is linking people in that floor to the next floor because it's all sectionally connected. So can we not create a tower that is, like a horizontal street but flipped vertically?
What I think Matan has said just now, they have done a wonderful job, horizontal growth with they have really shown how society, relationships, human relationships can stay together, how the surrounding social and economic, the scenario gets influenced by your projects, and they become better, their livelihoods become better. So I'm just wondering, I'm not a very high tech savvy man, but the point is, I'm sure you are using BIM to a certain extent. 100%, very good. So in BIM, we all know beyond 3D, where architects and engineers are experts, 4D, we have time, project managers, 5D, the cost, where QS consultants work, and 6D, sustainability. Come on, you help me. 7D is what? Facilities management. 8D is risk management. And 9D, 10D, 11D, 12D. It has gone till 12, and probably what is said today, that could be your 12D or 13D. Or it might have come already in 9, 10, 11, somewhere. You are not, I'm asking you. You are a BIM expert. I only read things, I don't work on it so much, but I love to work on, those kind of things where, also, finally, Hyderabad, we're talking of so many things, but these high-rise towers, 45, 57 stories, I don't know if they are really using BIM. I don't think 5% of Indian, design firms are probably using BIM technologies and all that. So without using 57 stories, I don't know how they are going to, come up with. And LOD, what is that? LOD is till, as built, and then your LCA. After, the completed building, maintenance, and like he said, there is no thought of that long-term, what do you call full form, LCA? Life cycle management. So these are the things which have to be put in place for any city when it's really developing. These are the scientific ways to look at the high rise and take care of energy efficiency, eventually carbon emissions containment. So all these things, unless mathematically, scientifically worked, just announcing that, we'll do some magic in the Musi River, we'll do magic in the fourth city. So these are all just, I don't know where things are going. So these things have to come into practice, I feel, for which the will of the political, is not there. They just want towers, they want money. Only two things. So I don't know what's going to happen, but hope that it will at least go closer to net zero. That's the thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think this brings our panel to the end. And of course, not only concluding this panel, but I think concluding our discussion all through the day, I think clearly Hyderabad is ready for, going next level. The city has the talent, the city has the tech. I think the time has now come to act. And evidently with such a strong expert panel, not only with me right now, but all through the day, I think Hyderabad is soon going to be the city that's going to create success for many other cities to follow in India.